Hunter, when are we starting this?
Yeah, we can start now.
Oh
we're all just having fun.
From
I will
from the point of start recording to now, just all of it's in, right? People listening, what the hell are they going on about for the first 30 minutes?
Hunter might cut some of that out for like patrons, honestly, because it was some primo stories.
Yeah, hi, and welcome to Blank Bodies, a Vampire the Masquerade V5 tabletop and horror podcast. Also now Werewolf. As you've heard, we've been talking for 30 minutes and I edited all that out. So, hey, how's it going? I'm Hunter, and I'm joined by
John. That's this guy right here that you can't see.
And I'm Sarah, and we are joined yet again by our delightful werewolf storyteller who we've been tormenting, stressing out. I don't know. The amount of times this man has grabbed his face is delightful and concerning. Anyways, hello, Erik. Tell everyone you said hi.
Hi, I'm a trauma dumpster in this episode where I'm just absorbing all the horrific stories that make me go, this makes me question things.
Those were not horrific.
It's okay.
Those were fun.
It's okay. I'm going to be able to dish them back out to you like threefold in about the span of the next hour and a half.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't think about that. Whoops.
Hi, I'm Erik. I'm the storyteller for these sessions. I try my best to not get lost in the sauce as far as all the plot is concerned. Thank you to the magic of editing. And I am here to finish out our 3-ish session run, or however long it is, of Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition. Some things about me. I am a storyteller and events director for Received Glass Games. We are running our stuff over at Gen Con this year, as we have for the past 12 years. And I am the shifter storyteller for that one, specifying mostly in Garou because it's fun. Some quick things about our game as I run them through the session. Content warnings. Content warnings for this one are going to include heavy descriptions of violence and various means. This includes body horror, gore, decapitation, scarring, impalement, anything else along the like. This is a game of werewolf. There is a lot of violence that goes with it, but this is going to be particularly ultra-violent. If you are at all grossed out by descriptions of blood, gore, guts, specifically eyeballs, maybe hands are your thing, I don't know. Probably best to sit this one out. There will also be covering of intense emotion that's going to go into this. That could include potential outbursts of yelling, mostly from my side as I act out scenes. So if raised voices are yelling or anything that you don't want to do, again, sit this one out. I will not. These are the hard outs for this one. I will not go into any descriptions of sexual assault or any relation of violence towards that. I will not go into any depictions of racism, cultural phobias of any sort. We're going to try to keep it mostly clean as we explore this episode. Beyond that, I don't think I'm missing anything else aside of the fact that, do you guys want to introduce your characters one more time for us? Starting with Skipper.
Yeah, I'm Donnie. If you don't remember me, then that's a problem because, I'm pretty memorable. I'm a little guy. I got a rat, lives in my pocket. His name's Splitter. And, we can solve some problems if we go outside real quick, is all I'm going to say about my way of doing things.
And next, we have Poppy.
Hi. I post things on the internet about foraging and nature stuff because that's cool. Also, apparently I'm a werewolf. That's interesting.
Poppy answered the question of man or bear.
Yeah.
And still chose bear. And last but not least, Evander. Give us a quick intro to you right now.
I'm Evander, maybe a little overconfident in his own knowledge and underconfident in many other aspects of being a werewolf. Definitely thinks highly of what he knows and feels like he knows more than most other Garou his age, which is probably true, but he doesn't need to, make a big deal out of it. But he will.
Who would like to do a quick little recap from last we met?
We all arrived at the campgrounds. And we started by kind of doing our own thing, exploring. We all ended up meeting up near a cool big rock, I guess, with a cool werewolf guy that we talked to. He introduced us to a ghost animal who told us that through him that we needed to investigate what was happening in the Umbra. Then we were all called to go to the large meeting where a incredibly important Garou walked out of a fire and then updated the nation to some terrifying news. we were then immediately thrust into the spotlight as Poppy stepped forward to let everyone know the information we'd gathered. And then he more willingly and me somewhat reluctantly stepping up to back up her claims are now getting ready to walk into the Umbra and see what's going on with all the loose Bane spirits that have escaped the Umbral jail.
Look, you're forgetting the most important aspect, which is I fed a bunch of flowers to a rat.
That's true. Splitter liked it.
Mm-hmm.
For the listener, when Sarah said that, they pushed their finger up on their brow like they were doing the actually with glasses, and that is
No. I took my finger and put it on the tip of my nose to point to myself.
We'll go with whoever is more popular there.
Rude.
Voice your opinions. Make a poll out of it. So with that, the three of you, alongside Barrow, feel the transition as the world that you're in, that was normally vibrant in color, encased or enraptured by the flame that was around you, that heavy heat, and all the voices and noises as they start to separate out into their own small packs and gatherings for their own sides of this quest. Feel as the world gives way to quiet and silence. All those colors fading away from your typical night sky to that of shadow and fog, until you find yourselves in something of a mirror image, where the flame and the pyre of the cairn sat on one side. You now sit in the inverse of it, as you can see both sides of the gauntlet kind of conjoin and reflect and mirror off each other, as though that of a pool's reflection of water. The sounds start to reassert themselves to your ears, where before it was the usual nighttime chittering of bugs and birds and other various creatures that would roam the night, and of course some cool rocks. Instead, it was replaced with much more guttural sounds from farther out, followed by wisps of silence. The silence itself is somewhat unsettling as you look out upon the landscape that you're on, and it is not a complete reflection of where you were. It is not the heavily dense and wooded area that was sort of a pine barrens. It is not encapsulated by a lot of texture and rock. Instead, this is more like an umbral sea of grass. You can see far, but it is still obscured by these deep clouds of almost a choking fog that, were you not some degree of supernatural and Garou in your own right, might actually start to affect your senses, as though if you were immortal, this would be like a place where you go to die. And all around you, instead of there being the lights, the stars, you catch brief glowing wisps and trails of the various smaller spirits that are nearby, those that would be of the insects, of the small critters that kind of dart and jut around. And then for a solid few minutes, you just find yourselves there. Barrow is looking out into the horizon, simply staring as though trying to grasp with a far sight and a glimpse of something going on. With that said, starting with Evander, what is your first take of entering the Umbra, yourself being a theurge?
This is probably the first time that Evander has walked into the Umbra with a mission. The few times he has gone through, even as someone who knows the rituals to do it, when it's happened, it's always been more ceremonial, more educational, like, oh, I'm going to go see something, maybe talk to a local spirit and leave. And so it's always been more, I think there's been a lot more care, a lot more preparation, in the same way that you'd prepare like a ritual, like this, almost like praying. There was like more reverence to it. So the speed that's necessitated by this entrance definitely has him thrown off a little bit. It's kind of like, we're just going. Like, you're letting this wash over you. You're taking it like, yes, you can still take it in. But for him, this is very quick. And so he's not used to adjusting to this change so fast. And it's a little disappointing, but at the same time, it's exhilarating. Like, never done anything like this here before. And so it's new. There's new things to learn too.
Evander, before in your travels and in your learning to be a Garou, especially with the help of your uncle, you would have gone very shallow into the lightest reaches of the penumbra beforehand, especially at your home, where you had that lake cascaded by the moon. And your uncle would occasionally pull small pranks on you, kind of leave you there for 15, 20 minutes, just see how you reacted. But always found it interesting how you yourself wouldn't shy away from the ability to see the shadowed side, but would never let you go in so far that there would be any threat. Poppy, how you feeling your first time entering the Umbra right now? This is actually your first time.
Yeah. There's a moment of reverent silence, and Poppy out loud says, "Oh my God, it's like Ohio."
Why?
Because Poppy's like, "Look, if I have to make a small joke, otherwise I'm going to scream."
So is Poppy a little overwhelmed by we'll call it silence. We could go with the old Greek for chaos, which is the absolutely kind of nothingness that exists, but there is some stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I've known it's going to be a lot, and then understanding that it's extra a lot because there's now like a bunch of things that should be in jail but are not, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I also just talked a lot of mad shit to some very powerful Garou, and I'm also still processing that, so I'm just kind of like, oh no.
You've flown so close to the sun they threw you away from it.
Damn it.
Donnie, how you feeling, bud?
The silence and the like oppressiveness of it isn't really what bothers Donnie. He's used to being like under a city. That like oppressive humidity that you can get when you're in like a warm spot with fucking water everywhere. He's kind of like, this is more intense than that, but I felt this before. What he doesn't like is it is just so open. He's used to like a city. He lives in New York, well, but literally inside of New York. So there's probably been like 4 times in his life that he's seen like big open sky. Much less big infinitely black open nothingness with weird spirits flowing around in it. So I'm gonna roll something for myself real quick.
Sure. What would you like to roll?
Not like it. So I have an idea specifically if he fails here, but to not react in like a panicked type of way. Would that just be
that'd be a straight up composure, we'll call
composure and resolve?
And well, let's go composure plus survival for this one, or composure plus stealth, whichever you'd like.
Okay. I don't have any rage. I don't
if you really want to be special with this, you could go composure plus performance too.
I don't have any performance, so I'll do composure. I don't have any survival either. I think I'm gonna go for survival anyway.
Okay.
I got 3 successes, so he's fine. He like hunches down for a second, like he like actually, if you said tall grass, it's almost like he just goes whoop, like trying to hide in it for like a half second, and then kind of catches himself and stands back up a little bit. Looking closely, the universe may notice like he actually like stopped himself, but was like, shift. Stayed composed after that. But he's very like, she makes the joke about Ohio, and he kind of looks up at her and is like, what the fuck is this? This isn't in the States.
I mean, I guess it's in the States. Just gonna look at
looks at Barrow.
Barrow seems to be completely ignoring your first incredulity with entering here, and is simply still staring out into the horizon. Now, Poppy and Donnie specifically, where Evander looks kind of fine, like they're almost in tune with like what's going on, the two of you feel a much heavier oppressiveness to like all the way of this world. Imagine you were up in an airplane, or you're going up a tall mountain, and you did in rapid succession, all that pressure is like kind of slamming into you. You're getting like a little bit of a sinus headache. You're feeling your ears pop. You just have like that sensory overload, and like your body's trying to catch up with it. That's what you're experiencing right now. So for the next, we'll say 3 checks, the two of you will suffer a 1 dice penalty to those checks. Okay. As you are trying to acclimate to this atmosphere. Whereas with Evander, it's almost like a fish to water. You're taking this pretty naturally. You're able to kind of help the other two breathe, catch up with what's going on. And again, you're just surrounded by this absolute silence as Barrow is just staring out. I will allow either of you, all of you even, if you would like to do let's look at a resolve plus insight or a wits plus insight right now on Barrow, as you are looking to him as like your sort of guide in this entire mission.
I got one
2
success.
successes. Oh wait, I get a -1 to that, don't I? Let me re-roll that.
I'll let you just take 1 success off. That's fine.
Okay, 1 success.
And Evander?
1 success.
Okay. The three of you are more distracted by what is going on. Go ahead, Skipper.
I'll wait.
No,
Because
go ahead.
it would
Go
make
ahead.
sense. Okay. He would be looking at Barrow for a second, and once he realized Barrow's not acknowledging him, he is panically checking his pockets. I don't think that I would say the rat itself probably would have stayed on the material plane, but that's not the friend that he has. The rat isn't his friend. So he's checking his pockets, freaking out because his rat's gone.
The corporeal rat or the spiritual rat?
The corporeal rat.
Okay.
The spirit rat's absolutely going to be here hanging out.
I'm gonna ask you something in character, out of character level. Skipper, are you okay if Splitter has made the jump with you?
The physical rat?
Yes.
Yeah.
The three of you feel a wash of wind in as much of a way. It could be a breeze, a gust, however you want to feel it, as the grass, this tall grass encased by all this fog, sways back and forth. First in a more rhythmic, like kind of gentle, just as you expect it to ripple up across the horizon towards you. And the three of you also take a moment to notice that you and several other small packs that broke off all went through the same entry point, effectively. But you see and have heard none of them, as though you've been transported completely elsewhere. The reflection of the cairn is still behind you. You can still see like the flame on the mortal material plane and its reflection of more purple and blue flame on your side. You can still see that. You can still feel a little bit of the embers from it, but there's still that abject isolation you're experiencing, that you are cut off from the rest of the packs there.
Does this feel different than other times I've entered? Like, does this feel like we're deeper than I've ever been before?
Yes. You outright will know this feels completely different. You won't necessarily know if it's deeper. And I'll let you actually, we're gonna ad hoc a roll here, okay? I'm gonna let you go with intelligence, and I'm gonna let you roll with an extra 3 because of your auspice and because you do have your own penumbral senses. You have some degree of like how umbral lore should work, but in 5th edition, there isn't really a lore skill to draw off of, okay?
So int +3, you're saying?
Yes.
Damn, I still got 1 success.
Okay, not enough to know where exactly you are. Not enough to really know in what layer of the Umbra you are. For the listeners, the Umbra is kind of separated into various different layers, almost like a sandwich of layers and layers and layers on top of each other. Normally, if you're going into the very shallow part, I believe it's called the penumbra, or otherwise known as the near umbra. And then as you escalate on down, you hit the deep umbra and the deeper umbra. And then you, depending upon how your interpretation of World of Darkness lore is, you hit the Shadowlands as the next thing. Or to some, they're completely different. Doesn't matter. But more specifically, Evander, this feels significantly deeper. Like if you were not already mildly attuned to what the Umbra was like, you would feel as though you've been thrown from a shallow end of a pool into a deeper end. The wilderness that's beyond you is really what kind of sets that apart. And also the fact that Barrow, who is experienced in his own right, you could tell that is simply staying vigilant until the three of your heads kind of snap to face him again. You haven't really completely broken eye contact, but you let your eyes drift here and there. But you hear him give out a single guttural, like deep within him growl as it shifts and moves, and he changes from being in a Hamid form into this immense wolf-like form. His fur is a crimson red, and you can see even among that red that on his arms are streaks of white, as though they're almost carved there or ceremoniously painted on. And his jaw, his massive frame is bigger than any lupus you've seen. He has gone into his hispo form. As the sea of the grass continues to sway, but now there's a rapidity to it, something unnatural moving within it. I will let all of you roll for either composure or for resolve or wits plus survival right now. Or
Repeat
awareness. Composure, resolve, or wits plus either awareness or survival. If you get 4 successes or more, I will allow you to attempt to shift as an immediate action.
That's really funny. For every attribute, I had the same amount of dots, and for every skill you listed, I had the same amount of dots. I have multiple options of 5.
Question.
Yes.
I got 3 successes, but I do have rapid shift.
Okay, I believe that rapid shift is either willpower or it's a rage check, right?
I will have to triple check, but yes, it is a roll.
It is a free action, actually. It's just dexterity plus glory. That's all it is. So you can roll your dexterity plus glory.
Okay.
And you can let me know which form you're trying to shift to, and we'll resolve thereafter. So, Evander, how many successes we got, bud?
2, so I'm not shifting.
Okay. And Poppy, how many successes we have?
I got 3. I'm trying to decide if it's worth the willpower to reroll on the off chance of getting a success or doing a willpower.
I will remind you, this is our final session of running this.
That's fair. Fuck it. Let's go. I will spend a willpower to reroll, see if I can get to 4. Holy shit. So that turned into a crit. 4. Hi, I got 7 successes.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you on that for just a moment because when you shift, I will allow you an additional action when you shift. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Evander, you're not gonna be using your willpower to retest or anything.
No, I have something else in mind. I'm hoping.
Okay. All right. So from the bottom, and we'll resolve from the top. So Donnie, you have your rapid shift, dexterity plus glory. How many successes you get?
4.
Okay. What form would you like to shift to?
Hispo.
And how would you like to describe that?
You know, a lot of werewolf changey bits takes a moment. He sees Barrow shift, and it's almost like he expected it, because Barrow's feet front paws hit the ground, and Donnie's leaning over, and his clothes kind of just like suck into him as he gets bigger. He does look kind of mangy. He's a big black dog, big black wolf, I guess, and mangy, kind of ratty looking. And you may notice if he is like, as he's moving, his claws look almost metallic along with his big chompers. Yeah, and he's just like, all right, that's what we're doing.
Even though you got those big chompers and that very elongated snout, it's still halfway crooked because you have broken your nose so many times in your life.
Oh yeah, there's the nose probably actually is slightly twisted off center there. And there's probably like there's chunks out of his ear where it's just been bit or whatever.
And for you, as you mentioned, where your paw meets the knuckle that would lead to the long claw, it has a sort of faded goldness to it, a very brassy color. And your claws themselves are coated in the same brassy color to it. For the sake of your combats, as we discussed, you will have +1 additional die to any attack related roll involving your claws. Okay? And this will go for the sake of the fun, your fore and your hind claws. Okay?
Word.
Evander, how would you like to shift? Also, for the sake of this, we're just ignoring the rage check because we are giving you a little bit of time for this, and you've exceeded the successes, all of you. So
okay. Well, I thought it was 4. I only had 2.
Oh, then tell me what you're doing. You're gonna have to roll the rage check.
All right. So I guess I need to roll the rage check.
Go for it
First. So for so how does that work again? So
depending upon what form you're shifting into, you'd roll a single d10 or 2 d10s if you're trying to shift into your Krynos, right?
Yes. Okay. So I guess he's not sure. Can he see a reason why we're shifting, or it's just everyone shifting? And
would you like to hold your action to find out?
Yes, that is exactly. He's waiting to see what's going on.
Okay.
I might do something else other than shift, depending on what happens.
Okay. For you, since you're gonna hold that action, then react to it afterwards, I'm gonna give you. We'll figure it out. We might have a small penalty for you since you're going to be like, I'm just going to wait and see.
Fine.
Poppy, with your hella successes.
Holy shit.
Tell me what form you'd like to shift to first.
I'm going to match the new friend that I have adopted against his will and better judgment, and also shift to Hispo.
Okay. And how would you describe your form?
Just the most fluffy, majestic, like Princess Mononoke, like chestnut brown, kind of a big wolf, like almost fairy tale kind of looking, just like, this is something that it's like it's ridiculous to the point of almost looking like it's fantasy. Like this is a wolf that goes on a metal album cover.
Literally a Sonata Arctica cover is somewhere in the midst of this, and Poppy's like, that one, I want to be that one.
I want to be that, yeah. But
oh my God,
like
standing next to each other, we're the two wolves
inside of
you. One is
And-
fluffy, one has like mange.
Someone
At
will
least
write
one
that
of them
fan
is gay.
fiction.
Technically, there is a third wolf among you too, so you could have a 3-wolf moon
Oh,
going at
yeah.
the same time.
Which,
Just
by
for
the
sa-
way-
moon, though.
Taking recommendations for 3 Wolf Moon shirts.
just really one mangy, one just Princess Mononoke, and the other just a dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
just pointing up curiously.
wait a minute.
Just looking like the confused white woman doing math meme.
Or it's the guy, like it's the meme of the guy with his hands at his side, just judging everyone.
That also works.
Just so you guys know, fireworks have started nearby me, so in case you hear anything loud on the recording, we'll figure it out.
Mhm.
That's been happening, so sorry if you guys hear it from me.
I don't hear anything from your side. So 2 of you have shifted, 1 of you has not. And in the fastest of reactions, while your bodies were metamorphosing into these forms, Barrow has disappeared into the deeper fog and the deeper grass. There is nothing left of his form, almost like imagine a dotted outline comedically from a cartoon where he's just gone and just kind of blinking there of like he used to be here. As you hear inside the grass the turning and moving of heavy stone and earth, that sort of rumbling sound as though something massive is moving through it. And as that sound continues to cascade, you can see now the grass of the horizon shifts and lurches up and down, moving with this pattern of movement. The mist and the fog itself kind of dissipates ever so slightly, just like if you were to wave your hand through smoke on a candle's trail, and before quickly just reforming. And yet this ocean of grass, as though a full wave from the ocean, continues to crash forward and crash forward. The motion of it is like that of a snake coiling and pushing through. Evander, I'll give you the option now to shift as you see and can feel something massive is coming your way.
That's fair. I will shift to Galabro form.
All right, that is 1 rage check. Go ahead and roll it.
All right. I failed, so I lose a rage.
Yes.
All right, so I'm done.
So we, for the sake of it, in hindsight, we're going to treat you guys as having been at, say, 3 rage each before entering here, because you were at a massive moot. There was a push from it. The aura of Keeper of Packs would have been enough to like inspire everyone, and there probably would have been some degree of like howling at the moon before he came down here, right? That way you're not going, I can't shift at all. What the hell, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be at 2 rage now. Okay.
Yes.
Again, also, as has been mentioned in previous sessions, I will treat rage a little bit differently. Normally in W5, rage is not regenerated over the course of combat. It's just a resource to spend. I don't really necessarily like that rule. Coming from LARP myself, you can passively gain your rage back as long as you are hitting or being hit. The same goes with being in Krynos. You will not necessarily have to kill a thing in order to continue your Krynos and not go into frenzy. You can simply be in the action of attacking and being attacked. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you unfortunately do not shift right now, Evander. You're trying to muster that anger, that rage inside of you, but you just can't quite get the grasp of it just yet. You will shift on your next turn.
Okay.
But in the meantime, Poppy, with your crit success from before, you will have the first thing, you will have the first action. What would you like to do? Nothing has emerged from the ground yet, but you're basically standing at the ready right now.
Cool. Poppy's aware of the fact that even though I am a big wolf and that is cool and I should be good at fighting, I'm kind of garbage at fighting. So may I use sense the true form to try and figure out what the fuck?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Cool. I look, I'm good at finding things and I need to find out what the fuck this is. So
Since the true form is a wits plus wisdom check, your difficulty is going to be 4 because you don't know what it is yet.
All right, you know what? That's valid. Gonna roll. Not as impressive, but that's fine. I got 2 successes.
Okay. While you get a feeling of what this could be, just given the nature of the coiling motion of it, it is definitely something subterranean. It is something that is very, very large. Like you can get a glimpse of it moving through, but you can't get a direct feel of it. It might be just slightly too deep. It might just be something that, since it's so foreign to you right now, you can't quite grasp it. But you don't get the full complexity of what this creature is, just that it is big, coming towards you. It probably wants to eat you.
Cool. That was going to be my other question was, if I can't tell what it is, can I tell if it's just hostile or if it's just large and happens to be near us?
Oh, it's hella hostile.
Oh, sick. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. This is hella hostile. Just you didn't have the successes necessary to push
I
to
do what the fuck it is.
why is it hostile?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, upon not getting good info, Poppy's just gonna kind of like crouch a little bit and just make a not happy wolf noise.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna kind of stay where I'm at for now.
Would you like to make that not happy wolf noise for the listener?
Not for free.
What about for your Patreon?
The patrons can let me know if they want that.
We'll put it in post. The ground in front of you erupts as stone and other debris fly forward, the dirt covering and caking onto and behind you. Evander, your eyes are blinded at the moment, and there's just a tremendous force that comes forward. Each of you, I need a dexterity plus what would be good for dodge?
Dodge is typically dex and athletics.
I'll take dex plus athletics. I will also simultaneously take dex plus stealth just because of the action at hand.
Oh, that's way better. I'll take dex plus stealth, please.
Sama's watching the fireworks.
Good for her.
I'm rolling like shit today. One.
Okay.
I'm gonna use willpower.
Okay.
You know, I'm gonna use willpower too.
Okay.
And this is kind of like vampire. You can re-roll
Up to 3 dice.
and non-rage dice. Or
Yes.
can you Yeah. Okay.
I believe you can only roll non-rage dice. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That is correct.
7 successes.
Still
Jesus
one. I'm switching dice. Mad.
To the dice jail they go. Sorry, the Umbral dice jail also broke. You only have bad dice tonight.
No.
Rude.
Boo. I
As
shouldn't have used
this-
my Wraith dice.
This isn't Oblivion, it's Umbra time. The immense amount of pressure and sorry, Poppy, how many successes did you have? One?
Uno.
Okay. The immense amount of pressure you all feel as all this dirt and rock catch. You can feel it glance and sort of deal these like small glancing and scraping blows against you. For Poppy and Evander, you will both take 1 superficial damage. Also, I will refer to superficial at times as bashing or as lethal. I'm just from Old World, that's why. Evander,
Yes.
you feel yourself get pushed off and just lose your balance entirely, being that you are in Humid form and not quite braced for everything going on. Poppy, you try your best to sidestep whatever this is coming at you with your quick reflexes while you're in Hispo. But again, to the same end, you can't quite dodge everything that's coming. Donnie.
Ready for the fight. Let's go.
Donnie, with your adept agility, right before whatever it is comes crashing into you, and I mean crashing into you, you sort of give like a 2-step sidestep, and then in just this quick, rapid succession of movement, dig your claws into the hard carapace of this creature, and you're holding on to it.
All right.
The creature, as it bursts out of the ground with this immense cry, you can see it rear back, lifting the earth with it, pulling apart every manner of the umbral sea that you saw before you, as the underneath gives way to just hundreds upon thousands of hands. The front maw of this creature is as though it were several different types of ants that just inlaid their mandibles on top of each other, forming layers upon layers, and it forms almost like a drill as they just spiral within and within, as each layer of it peels back to unveil another smaller, angrier mouth, letting out this just piercing cry into the umbral night sky. Donnie, as it rears back, you're still holding on. You can choose to disengage if you'd like to. You can choose to hang on and ride this rodeo out if you want to as well. It is not going to roll over onto you, but you will have an additional die up on your next test related to being engaged with this creature. The creature, after laying out this huge and massive cry, you can see as sections of where those hands are and inlaid, there are smaller wisps and trails, that same spiritual energy you saw before, but it is darkened, it is black, it is miasmic, as underneath it, just a spew of gas, completely different and putrid and heavy and horribly smelling, just gives way onto the ground in front of you. While you are all on the sides, not being hit directly by this, you can see as the umbral sea, the grass beyond you and in front of you, melts and gives way to an instant corrosiveness, decaying so rapidly it may as well be that there is no grass there at all. Starting at the top, Donnie, what would you like to do?
I'm on the side of this thing, right?
Yeah,
Um,
you've pulled into this thing about, let's say, 15 feet away from where the edge of the carapace meets some of that pincer-like harder exoskeleton.
okay.
Oh, by the way, you don't know where the hell the back of this thing is either, and you're still just 15 feet back.
The thing's big. Donnie wants to. So he's his thought here is if he's on the not hardest section, but there's still carapace, but not like the heavily armored section here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I need to roll, but he wants to do the dog thing where, well, it's more of unfortunately a dog in a very bad situation thing. He's gonna use his teeth to bite onto the carapace to hold on, and then he just wants to use all 4 feet to just rake. Like he's digging with all 4 feet.
Okay. We're going to do 2 checks for you. I'm going to collect the actions from the other 2 first, but you are basically trying to bite and use that as your anchor hold and then just rend with your fore and your back claws, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Poppy, what would you like to do?
Do I see where Evander is?
Yes. You can, well, actually, no. You two are on opposite sides of the massive carapace. You did see him for a moment, and then the miasmic spew, as best can be described, came out and it's just obscuring your vision entirely.
Well, my goal is to find my new friend, whether he wants to be my friend or not. So, just for action economy's sake, would popping Eyes of the Owl help me actually find him?
Let me see what Eyes of the Owl does really quickly.
Yeah.
For the sake of it, I'm going to say yes.
Okay. It was supernatural, so I just wanted to be sure.
It's technically supernatural. It's also not like he's spewing out a world-ending, I turned off all the lights in the sun type of deal, right?
Yeah.
For the sake of like what the atmosphere is in the Umbra, I will say that it is as natural to natural could be. It is from a bane, but it is still like a naturally forming creature in that same sense. So I'll treat it as natural darkness.
Cool.
And you're trying to locate him, right?
Yeah. So
All
would you like me to do a check to see if I actually find him?
Nope, there is no check needed. You just have to spend 1 willpower.
Gonna do that. I'm burning through so much willpower. Holy shit. It's fine.
And you can see directly in front of you, still like halfway stumbled on the ground, pulling himself up, is Evander. Separated out, he pushes his way back a little bit in almost like a half scurry to get back to his feet, away from any level of degree of the miasmic like gas pushing forward. You guys know how this handles on living beings. You don't know how it handles on supernaturals yet. You definitely don't know how it handles on a Hamid.
So, would Poppy be able to jump so that she's basically putting herself between the icky fog and Evander, because she's like, he's in squish mode. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen to him.
Yeah, sure. Give me a Dex plus Athletics.
Oh, I'm so good at that, but I get a +2 to that, so hooray.
Yep, because you're in Hispo form.
Yep. Woo. Not the worst. It's a 3 success. It's not the worst.
Okay, I'll take it. You leap up from the ground and kind of hard pivot, and you just go into like angry dog privileges mode, where you are just forming this. You're a Hispo, you're a big wolf, of course, and you're just like against this massive creature that you much the same way. The entire body has not left the underground yet.
Fuck.
But you can see a solid 60 feet down if you were to measure. And given that you're a forager, you know how to measure things outdoors. But you're still going scary dog, I'm a protect mode. Evander, what are you doing?
So I assume at the start of my turn, do I finish shifting?
Yes. And you were going to shift into Glabra, right?
Yes.
Okay. Describe for me what would you like to do, and then you and Donnie will roll at the same time. So what would you like to do for your action, sir?
So I got knocked on my ass as I was trying to shift by this giant ant carapace gas monster. And then Poppy hopped over. What?
Sorry, hand centipede? Millipede? Millipede. Hand millipede.
Hand millipede.
Mr. Hands.
Hand Daddy's how I refer to him.
Hand Daddy. Fuck you.
I think now that I have shifted, I am also going to rush past Poppy and get next to this thing and just start like clawing at the side of it as hard as I can.
Okay, so you're gonna try to latch onto and cry. You're more doing what Donnie's trying to do, not what Poppy was trying to do.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I assume Poppy was trying to like get between me and this thing. It's
Poppy
like a protective-
Poppy was assuming the protective stance, but you're going, fuck that. I'm a headlong into this, and you're trying to like actually start rending it, right?
Yeah, I'm not trying to like grab onto it like him, but yes, I am attacking.
Okay. For Donnie, I need 2 checks from you. Your first is going to be Dex plus Athletics, but you can add your Hispo bonus to it. Okay. And then right now for Evander, I'm going to need a Brawl plus Strength.
I'm going to use a willpower.
Okay. That's right. I have stats for this thing. I actually wrote them down.
Nice. I'm rolling all rage
Oh
dice.
boy. 1, 2, 3, 6. I got a crit.
You have 6 successes?
Thank you.
Okay.
Willpower.
And now would be a good time to go over how the rage dice work again. So, because I know in combat they can give you bonuses when rolled,
Yes.
but
So I had the graphic here somewhere. Give me a moment to pull it up.
Hmm.
For the sake of this combat, realistically, again, as long as you are attacking or being attacked, you're going to stay at least neutral for the most part. Okay. And then certain actions I will like kind of elevate or de-escalate what that rage gain or loss would be. That's just how I run it, because I'm not of the mindset that if you're getting hit, you're not getting less angry, you're getting more angry at this thing, right?
Hulk rules.
Right. So while you are in a shifted form, right, your rage dice, if you get 2 brutal outcomes, you add +4 successes to it. This is mostly only in regards to physical tests. However, brutals on your dice, meaning I believe it's either 1 or 2, right, instead result in failures if you were doing a social test. Clearly, you guys are not doing social tests, so these will be treated as successes. Okay. So
Word.
2 successes, no
successes.
brutals. Okay.
no.
And Donnie, you had how many successes?
6 with a crit.
How many critical dice did you have?
2.
2. So it's actually +4.
Yeah. So yeah, there's 2. I have 4, and then I got those 2, and then 2 more successes.
Gotcha. So you're a
total
total. You're a
6.
total 6. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now I have to roll my dice.
That sounded like a big pool.
Oh, it is. Don't you worry.
Thanks, Eric.
You know, I was a little bit worried that it was that, not that it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't very reassuring.
Do we explode on 10s?
Yes.
2 10s is the crit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So you have to have
10s
2.
pair-
The 2 became 4, but you have to have sets of 2.
1, 2, 3, 4. Donnie, you had 7, or you had
It's
6, and Evander, you only had 2, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The 2 of you try to find purchase on this, but the carapace is so hard. It's like grinding hands and heavy claws against steel. You see the sparks kind of fly up from this, as it's as though it were made of solid rock itself. None of your ability right now gets through this thing. Almost impossibly difficult to get through. And this is only because I rolled literally 2 sets of 10s in this thing. I was like, ooh.
How anime of you.
Oh, I can make it more anime if you'd really like me to.
Oh God.
This creature then, feeling, even though you're more of a pest to it, still feels you upon its carapace on its body and slithers and writhes in response, and just again continues to push forward as the rest of its body emerges from the ground. And it is a solid 80 to 90 feet long. And just you feel the heavy beats of hands just going in unison and also in chaotic fashion as though snaking its way down, moving and writhing and pounding itself upon the ground before it does a full, almost impossibly fast rolling action. Donnie and Evander and Poppy, I need you all to roll dodge checks, Dex plus Athletics. Add your shifted rage dice to it.
Can I substitute Brawl by any chance?
I'll let you do it. That's fine.
I've been suplexed before. That's what he's trying to do, right?
Yeah, you definitely been suplexed before. It's how you broke your nose the 6th time.
Yeah. I got 5 successes regular.
Okay.
I got 1. I think
Oh,
it must.
Vander.
I think it must
Holy
be
fuck.
another willpower.
I got 9 with another crit.
Holy
Are you going to be spending your willpower, Evander?
Yes,
Okay, go for it.
still a 1.
Okay. It rolls in that impossibly quick fashion. Poppy and Donnie, you were both able to either maneuver your ways out. Honestly, Donnie, with 9 successes, you're doing one of those like the bridge walking where they're trying to match the pace of it and not get thrown off by the momentum. You're doing that, but instead you're kind of sonic spinning and like rolling on top of this thing and like keeping pace with how fast the roll is going, not losing your place as you just tightrope and frogger your way on this thing. Poppy, you're able to kind of hop backwards and just like continue that motion as you get just out of range of whenever it completes the roll. Whereas Evander, you do get smished and smushed a little bit by this thing, but you only take 1 in superficial. It's not quite able to grasp all of your body under it, but it does catch like one of your arms under it decently, and you are in your glabro, and you can feel as part of your bone just crunches underneath this immense and massive weight. But not so much that's going to cost you any lasting damage. It's a big old ouchie. All right. You will gain 1 rage from that, Evander.
Okay.
All right.
Take it.
And when it completes its roll, the way it snakes is that part of it is back onto its hard carapace, and its tail end is more of a half-winded and now kind of like, imagine a picture being angled towards you as it lets out the spew of this miasmic gas from itself. The 3 of you, I need Stam plus survival.
Yeah, I'm gonna plus survive.
1 success.
Oh, and you can add your physical trait bonuses to this as well for your shifted forms.
Okay.
2 successes.
Okay.
2 successes.
2 set. Okay.
I have 2 successes, but I also have 2 what would be brutal results. So
4 successes.
yeah.
Or total 6.
Total. No, sorry. No, I had a whole backwards.
So your 2 successes were brutals.
The brutals are 1s and 2s. Brutal failure.
Yeah. Well, on a physical test though, it's not a failure. So that means you got 2 brutal results, right?
Yeah.
So you have a total of 4 successes. Okay.
Okay.
Poppy, when it spews this, again, your reflexes are going at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. You match the trajectory that's moving, and where it starts at the top and sinks its way down, or I guess starts at the bottom and sinks its way up. You can like match the pace that as you're just outrunning it, trying to reposition yourself as best you can. Donnie and Evander, with 2 successes each, you're able to snake your way just out of the range of this. Like, Donnie, you're using other parts of this thing's carapace to kind of cover you and shield you a little bit as it washes over it and then snakes and waves its way over, just barely dodging you. And Evander, in your own position, being that you have like been partially crushed by this thing, you're luckily like low enough that it's also washing over you, but you can just feel and smell. The smell is what gets you of this entire terrible, odious, and rotting aroma as it snakes and wafts its way over more of the grass and just again starts to eat away at it completely. It is all of your actions now. What would you like to do? Starting with Evander.
So I'm still under this thing.
Let's say your left arm is kind of pinned under it right now.
Okay.
You won't suffer any dice trace penalty to this because you're still in a shifted form. You're still relatively strong, but I've just pictured that way. Like you're kind of on both knees. Your left arm is just pinned under this immense carapace. Your right arm is still completely free, and so is your mouth.
Okay. We can I would consider this more of an attack than anything.
Okay.
I feel like there's not much else. Actually, you know what? Can I take a moment while I'm pinned here to do like maybe an int and occult to see what I know about this thing? If I heard anything, to have any idea what it is we are up against?
Yes, you can do it. Just keep in mind, brutals are failures on this check. Okay.
That's totally fair.
And I'll let you have you're only in Glabro, right? You're not in Krynos. So I will actually let you have a 1 dice trait penalty, trait benefit to this because of your auspice and your own family history.
Perfect. Finally, a pool I'm good at. 5 successes.
Okay. Evander, in your own hearing of some of the Umbral jail, you are a part of the Ghost Council, so you are a little more adept at this. Your uncle, he'd like to tell you sort of fairy tales of great pursuits and conquests done by the tribe, especially when you first shifted. And among them, he did tell you of this immense creature that they simply called the Hand Daddy. After all, this thing was caught in the 70s. What else was in the Daddy at that time, right? And he made mention of how it took 3 separate packs to take this thing down, trying to separate itself from its carapace before they realized that deeper within, about the center of the entire mass, on the underbelly, there would be a single massive eye that kind of served as a method of perusing its way over the ground and sort of rolling on it almost to help with the mobility of it. But that was a structural weak point that was on it. You just can't see it right now. So would you like that to stay as your action, or would you like to take a physical action as well?
I will quickly yell to Donnie, you have to find the eye.
Very specifically descriptive knowledge, right?
Yeah. I'd probably add in the center.
Pause. In the center, as you see Donnie's face kind of like go, what the fuck?
If I can
Gotta
see
find
him.
the eye.
Donnie
Great,
in
there's
wolf
eyes
form
now too.
just tilts his head like he was just shown a card trick.
One ear up, the other ear like cocked to the side, like,
Like, what the hell are you saying, man?
and then he
center.
says in the middle, and he's like, oh,
Okay,
I guess.
I'll go that way. I'll go that way. Hopefully I'll see an eye.
And then I guess for physical action, I'm not clawing through this thing. I figured that out pretty quick. Instead, I'm going to try, since I'm pinned under it, like claw at the ground underneath just to dig out enough of a rut that I can get my arm loose.
Okay, give me a brawl strength or brawl dex, whichever is your highest.
And then I can take my bonuses, obviously.
Yep. And while you're rolling that, Poppy, what would you like to do?
So I heard we need to find something.
Yeah, you would have definitely heard that. You were actively just as close to Evander as Donnie was.
So Poppy's a pretty smart gal, despite the attitude. Is there a check I could make to be like, okay, if we wanted to find or flip over this giant rock centipede thing, like an actual centipede where you just like flip it, is there a check I could make to be like, this is where I should flip it, or is it just like I should just bull rush the centipede? Fuck it.
I'm gonna save you the desperation of it because you're in like an open territory with no real structures to go with. You kind of just have the pit that it emerged from, which is now like almost an umbral ravine at best could be described.
Yeah.
And your best bet's probably just to try to force your way into or underneath this thing. It's massive. This thing probably weighs several tens of tons.
Okay. Poppy's first thought was like, what if I just flipped it like it's a pill bug? Just flip and is like,
What
no,
if I just flipped it like
stupid.
bacon? That, just sizzle a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. So instead is like, okay, I'm not as good at fighting as my new friend is, but I can help. So
I will also take from you in this case a brawl plus strength. And Evander, what did you roll before?
I rolled a 3.
3? Okay.
I got a 1, but it wasn't on the rage dice. Threw me off.
cool. Yeah, if I'm able to roll a brawl in strength, Poppy's plan is to run up somewhere towards the middle and basically just grab a chunk of the carapace and like pry it open like we're trying to unlock a car with the keys inside of it.
You were trying to get the dog outside of the car on the summer day.
Yeah. I was like, well, if I hold this open towards where maybe the hand daddy is squishy, Donnie can do whatever the fuck Donnie does.
Okay, go for it. How many successes did you get on that?
Let me roll it real quick.
And Evander, again, you had 4 or 5 successes on yours.
I had 3.
3? Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and burn a willpower for this.
Okay.
Okay, that was a good choice. 4 successes.
Okay. So, Donnie, I'm doing this to set it for you, and I'm going to be collecting your action. Don't you worry. Okay?
Do what you need to do.
Evander, with your rage, you kind of wantonly slap and claw at the ground, trying to like almost dig out a bit of the ground in order to free the rest of your arm. But as you do that, you feel as your claws catch on something fleshy and slightly softer. And as you pull at the ground, you can feel the sickening crunch and slice of some of the hands from Hand Daddy falling off and like flailing upon the ground a little bit as they just snake and reflexively, fall still. You are able to free your arm entirely, and you can see as just what should be blood is instead replaced with just thick, mucousy entrail just erupting from the stumps of where these hands were, as in their death throes of being limbs, I guess we could best describe it. You can see almost like intestine like sinew whipping around on the ground and just slapping and making sickening sounds across it. Poppy,
Mm.
with your thrusted body at this creature, how many successes did you have again?
I got 4.
4. You are able to kind of whip your head at the bottom of this carapace and in your hispo form pull and rend it. And this thing is beyond heavy. Like, this is the equivalent of you trying to lift up a tree in your Hamid form that's firmly planted in the ground in the redwood forest, not supposed to move. But you can just like feel spits of this carapace kind of pull and snap and just exposing some of the soft flesh underneath it. You don't see where this eye is by any means. You're not that far down as far as you can tell, at least not from the description that you were very quickly given in the sentence. But you do see, as even underneath this carapace, more and more of like little digits and fingers are almost trying to grasp at the inside. As you can see, this carapace is actually literally held by a lattice of fingers interlocking themselves into itself. Donnie, what would you like to do? Also, the both of you dealt basically the equivalent of a superficial damage to this thing, given how massive it is. Donnie, my boy, what would you like to do?
So positioning here.
Mhm.
Donnie's on X side. They are on Y side.
For the sake of it,
Or
you'd like
from the rolling.
you're more neutral spinning now after it's completed, and you're like, imagine you're just leaning off of the edge of the center as that gas wash itself over you.
Gotcha.
And you can
Cool.
you can think of yourself as having repositioned on the center of it now, but you see as this sort of snake-like trail gives way to a section that is slightly upturned, as it hasn't completely whipped its entire tail and back down yet.
And he said the eye in the middle.
Yep.
And then she ran up to somewhere and started tearing into it. How close to the middle is Poppy right now?
Poppy is relatively close to the middle, but not on the exact point yet. There is still a little bit of judgment, knowing you heard the middle, you didn't hear exactly this many feet or meters in. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. So in Hispo, he will bolt over to Poppy, and while he's hopping down to get next to her, he's gonna rapid shift to Krenos. And his goal is to dig his way into the body through the crack.
So for your rapid shift, it is free, but you have to do Dex plus Glory. You have to meet 3 successes to successfully shift to Krenos.
Dex plus Glory.
Rat would be so proud of you, by the way.
Burrowing, yeah.
Burrowing into flesh, yes.
And is this a physical test? Do I get my bonus for Hispo?
It is not a physical test by any means.
Okay.
I will allow your rage dice to affect this in that same way, where if you're shifting and your body's metamorphosing with it, that'll count the brutal crit towards your success.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Okay. Describe how your Krenos form is.
Donnie is a relatively small guy. His Krenos kind of makes up for it. It's like all of the anger and upsetness that's inside this little homie expands into a real big Krenos. Again, the like fingers from probably knuckle down, I would say, is that correct? Has that like golden brassy hue to it.
It's actively changed now. It's no longer just knuckle down. It's basically wrist down. Is now encased in this deep brassy metallic melded structure onto your flesh. Like, it's become part of your skeleton completely from that point down. And this is the same for also your ankles on down to your toes.
Dicks. So yeah, again, think if you've seen the movie, I don't know if we can quote movies here, but if you've seen the movie Dog Soldiers, that's kind of where he's at. He's got long, scraggly hair. There's not a ton of it. There's a lot of flesh bits showing. Most of his hair is probably on his head and shoulders, like fading downward and then getting heavier again, your legs. And again, the nose is crooked, the ears are all torn up.
Probably even more so in this form, right?
Absolutely. Scarring all over the face and chest, and yeah, he just starts digging in
Okay.
like one of the kids in Hook.
Okay. Strength plus brawl. And given that you're on Krynos, I believe you have +4 dice to this.
All right. Okay, that's strength sprawl. Oh my. Okay, so what are the fancy, what is that, the
Brutal dice.
brutal dice?
On a 1 or a 2, they count as a brutal result.
Okay.
And if you have 2, if you in pairs of 2, they would count as 4 success instead of 2 success.
There are so many numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I got a 1 on a rage die, so that counts as a success?
That's a brutal, yep.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 successes with 1 brutal success.
Okay, and you're affecting this with your claws, right?
Yes.
Which
I
gives
forgot
you-
to.
No, that's just a flat +3 damage. So
Oh,
you
cool.
have 6 + 3. That's going in for 9 damage right now, right? Donnie Angie. Donnie's so angry. He ain't ever been this angry before. And he's been in a lot of fights where he got pretty angry. But today he really angry.
This motherfucker tried to melt me.
Moreover than melt you with just the heavy weight of these like literal brass hands that you got. You're going, I'm gonna throw hands. Who's gonna catch them? You plunge 2 of your thick, meaty clawed hands into the carapace. It's like butter the way this is for you. You just found that perfect purchase inside of it. By the way, I only rolled 3 successes, so there's a margin of 6 here.
Jeez.
Ow.
And you've gone dumpster diving before, but you've gone dumpster diving in a way that wasn't trying to curate your meal. You're just trying to eat whatever you could eat in any form that you had, especially when you were in your lupus. And you're like, oh, that looks like it might be edible. I'm going to go for it, even if it's not. And you're just pulling and rending. Where Poppy was able to lightly kind of pull apart the carapace, and you saw that lattice structure a little bit, you are instead just full ass rending the tough shell with one hand and rending the softer interior with another. And through this rending motion, you're just like kind of digging, and your mouth is also going and gnashing at the same time. Digging. Give it a second because it's the finale of the fireworks.
Oh, I can hear it.
Oh, can you hear it?
Just
Barely.
You know what? Fuck it. We'll do it for effect. Fuck that. No pause. All the hands are still like pounding against the floor, and now they're kind of writhing a bit as you have dealt real physical damage to this thing. And as you're digging in, you're kind of drilling into it like a mole until you hit something even harder that you can't quite penetrate. Your head kind of dunks against it. You hear the dong of it,
Mhm.
and it's rounded in an unnatural way. And you can feel this sickening splurge as it like kind of rolls underneath it. You can't quite tell why though. But you remember that one thing, the eye was towards the middle. And as you're digging yourself into this thing, every bit that you rend, every ounce of what should have been blood is instead replaced by that horrible sinew and intestine-like structure. And now you're being encased with the jelly that comes with eyes that just sits there as fluid-filled sacs just rupture and erupt on you. You're just covered in filth from this thing, but from the glory of attacking it, right?
Mhm.
Donnie, that is your turn. The creature, in its rapid succession of movement, is also healing at a rapidly ridiculous pace.
I'm gonna get stuck. I'm
As,
gonna have to eat my way out.
as some of the hands and sinew start to stitch themselves back together, but they can't form over Donnie, they can only kind of cause a pressure against him. And it's able to reform itself in a rather unnatural way, as now hands are starting to rend back at Donnie. They're also starting to grip and pull at Poppy as well. Poppy and Donnie, I need you both to roll either Stam plus Brawl, or Dex plus Brawl, or Strength plus Brawl. I don't care which.
Oh, that's all the same for me, friend.
Just listen to the dice.
This is fine. This is fine.
I am rolling like shit.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh my god.
Well, just so you know, I rolled 1 success, okay? On 11 dice, I rolled 1 success.
Hell yeah.
So what happens with pairs of brutal successes?
They count as, according to the sheet, they count as +4 success. So it's actually like,
Okay, so it's just like
normally,
getting a 10.
normally they'd be failure, but it's +4. Yeah, it's
Got
like
it.
But they have to be in pairs, not in singles.
I got 5 regular successes. I have a potential for a crit, but I don't see the point.
I mean, there are points to it, but you'll be fine.
Okay.
Donnie, what you got?
11 with a crit. 11 with a crit and a double nasty success.
Brutal success. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Not a good day. Not a good day for
That's-
Hand Daddy.
That's why I was like,
No.
holy fuck.
Hand Daddy just got out of jail. He's trying to see his Hand Daddy family, and you're just
No.
making his first day on parole so bad.
He tried to melt me.
I mean, you would too if you were trying to get out of jail and stay out of jail, right? As you turn to a massive worm-writhing beast spewing gas all over the place. Poppy,
Yo.
this thing kind of pulses once as more gas just erupts from underneath it, but you can now see it. There's a specific region where there is no gas that perforates itself, as it just kind of along its entire body lets it out. However, it seems to be so weakened by something, maybe by the combined rupturing of what you've been doing, maybe from this particular section, the gas is able to quite travel and be as potent. It could be some like a stacking from the back end into the front or the front to the back. You don't know. Maybe you sever that connection entirely. Donnie is definitely fucking severed that connection beyond a doubt. As while each hand tries to interlock again, Donnie's just pulling his best. Stop that. Just whacking it with his knuckles, basically, is with every joint that reforms and grips, he just whaps it and it just breaks and shatters underneath his immense strength. This may be Donnie's best fight ever, but he doesn't exactly know. So with that, God, what bad dice roll for Hand Daddy, right? It is each of your actions again. I will start with Donnie, Poppy, and then Evander. Okay, and I'll resolve it backwards that way. So Donnie, what would you like to do?
I am pretty much touching this orb.
You're touching a significantly harder shell that seems to reverberate as though it's several inches thick.
Got it. Well, we got to break it. So this thing's too heavy for me to try to pick up. How big is it? Like
you don't.
Is it something that he could like reach around?
From where your limit perspective is, inside of this thing that is about 3 or 4 body lengths of yourself across, right? You can't tell how big this thing is. Poppy, you can kind of tell, and so can Evander. The orb section is a solid 10-foot radius at the very least.
Lord.
Got it.
And that was radial, by the way.
This is a big ass orb.
That's about 30 square feet, I want to say. No, apple pie R2. Square 10. That's very big then. According to what math, apple pie R2 is radius, right? That's for circumference. So circumferentially, it's like 100 feet.
Okay. So question.
Yes.
If I were to use Spirit of the Fray, which would normally
sorry, it's 300 feet circumferentially. My bad. Go for it.
Disgusting. If I wanted to use Spirit of the Fray, which is normally attacking multiple opponents, could I attack the orb and then rend more hands away?
Yeah, I'll allow it. You're basically in the sandwich of what would be hundreds upon thousands of enemies at the same time. I'll allow that.
Okay. Cool. So I'm going to use Spirit of the Fray, which is a rage check per enemy.
Go ahead and roll your rage.
And I can
as the per enemy side of it too, though, for your rage check, I will count as one enemy for the rage check. But you can rend everything simultaneously over multiple enemies.
Okay, so I got a 9. So I suppose I pass and keep my rage. And then one attack roll. I got my. This is like the only thing Donnie's good at in life, so I have to do a lot of math when I'm punching. Get +4.
Donnie, you're never gonna have a calculator in your pocket. You're right. I'll have a rat instead.
He does math for me sometimes. I don't know if it's right. Roll.
Okay.
Dex. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 successes.
Okay. Hold that. So 9 successes for you to basically kind of rend at this from the inside and try to penetrate into this dome, right?
Yeah. So it's essentially he gets to attack 2 targets. So he's wanting to attack dome and then like essentially make more room for himself to continue attacking dome.
Okay. I'm going to do it like this. So I am going to resolve that action first, okay? Okay, you said you had 9? Okay.
Yeah.
Poppy, before you act, you're able to see it like this section nearby where Donnie kind of disappeared into this horrible trail of death and gore and gas. is now like kind of bursting forward as though comically in a zombie movie or like an old Warner Brothers cartoon, where if a body's snaking through a pipe, you see it go jutting this way and then jutting that way, and it makes like the heavy dong 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 signs as it goes. That's kind of what you're experiencing as you see flesh, sinew, carapace, every bit of hardened thing you can imagine just throws itself outward in one direction before violently throwing itself out in another way, practically carving a solid 10-foot section that's curved that seems to be forming around a particular base. Donnie, from your perspective, while you are pounding at this thing with your claws, with your hands, you're able to like feel with each successive blow some of the carapace like crack and crack and crack as you are hitting the same spot over and over and over. We'll say 3 successive blows. So you're able to like see as a bit of this cracks and some like oozing jelly starts to bleed out from inside that crack. Go for it, Poppy.
Cool. Poppy is in the I'm gonna say the best way to explain this, dog tug of war mode.
Okay.
Where it's like I have hold of the carapace outside and I'm just gonna keep pulling it, because either one, I'm scared Donnie's gonna get stuck inside of this thing, or 2, Evander might want to jump in. I don't know, but I've got a hold and I'm just gonna keep yanking.
Okay, go for it. We're gonna go with brawl plus strength.
I'm so good at this.
And you're still in your Hispo form, right? So this is with your bite?
Yes. Okay. 3 successes.
3 success. Okay.
Yep.
And really quick, your damage with your Hispo is +1 ag. Okay. So, Poppy, you're trying to provide, I guess we'll say, Donnie, the best exit strategy possible, right?
Yeah. I'm just holding the door.
Holding the door.
I'm just holding the door.
You're not able to find quite the same purchase as you were before. But with the help of what Donnie's been doing on the inside, you're kind of just pulling away at it before it can regenerate and stitch. There is a bit of an ease to it. The outside is still hard, but you can feel that underneath layer where you saw those fingers and knuckles gripping onto form a matrix is not formed. So with each bit that Donnie's gone through, you're able to kind of match where his pace is going that far inward. As the 2 of you together have now revealed about 20 feet of a circumference of a very much tougher hardened shell like you saw at the front with the mouth end. Okay?
Cool.
It's like an exoskeleton laid on top of an exoskeleton. You can't find Donnie in there. It's a bit of a mess, but you can see from your perspective what you've got. So imagine if a full circle is 100 points, right? You've uncovered 20 points of it. Evander, your turn.
So I think I'm going to do something kind of in between the 2 things that Poppy suggested.
Okay.
I am going to charge at the, let's call it the flap that she's holding on.
Okay.
And I'm hoping we can just permanently break it open because she's already got it in a position. So I'm just going to charge it and like crank that plating off.
Okay. We're going to go. So you're in Glabro.
Yes.
Are you just doing this with your hands? Or are you using an object? What are you doing? Because
yeah,
I don't know if we've ever. I don't think we gave you any sort of like clave or other weapons. So
no, I have no weapon or melee training, so that's fine. That's for the best that I don't have anything
we'll go
like
with
that.
We'll go with brawl plus strength plus your dice bonus.
Because the way I see it is, if she's already holding it open,
Yeah.
to tension, that if I just put my body weight in it against it, it might just be enough to force it.
You're essentially trying to like tackle it.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's like the way that I'm imagining is that, yeah, you're tackling it, but it's also imagine someone trying to chisel away at marble and Poppy's dealt like the first 2 strikes to it and you're trying to do the big chip off piece.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, basically.
So go ahead and roll your check.
I had another plan, but I don't think it's gonna work now. So let's see what I can get here. All right, I got 2.
2 success off of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you now, do you want to use any willpower to re-roll any of that?
I cannot because it was all rage dice.
Okay.
I'm not a strong boy. Oh wait, you know what I forgot to do?
Your Glabro dice?
Yeah, I did. Let's do that. Oh, hey, 2 more. So I got 4.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Significantly better. I only rolled 3 successes, but I'm like, come on. You're able to, like I said, imagine a chisel or like a lumberjack trying to get at a tree. Poppy's dealt the hits from one side, you're dealing the hits from the other side, and you're able to completely like bisect this thing as a huge chunk, maybe 20 feet off, just from the immense damage taken already, falls aside with this, and it kind of like raises some of the umbral dust around you, making it a little bit difficult to see before it just kind of clears itself as you just wipe it with these massive hands that you got going. And now that the three of you have attacked this in conjunction, this bed that held whatever the center of the body is now kind of like rocking out towards you and rolling out ever so slightly. Like the actual bed of itself has been dislodged in some sense or dislocated. The body of the carapace and of this great beast is still trying to stitch itself back together. Even from the bits that were on the ground, you can see these writhing fingers and knuckles. Like, imagine the underside of a horseshoe crab and how the little pinchers are constantly going all the time. Imagine that as the motion that these fingers are trying to take as they're doing their best to interlock back with each other, but are just simply unable to, with no lattice structure to come back to. Consecutively, over the last couple of rounds, you guys have dealt 6 points of aggravated damage to this creature. It is hurting immensely, but the front end is not reacting. The back end is. Donnie, you've been dealing damage to its core effectively. And because of that, the bits that would be towards the front of the head, instead of whipping around or anything, it lets out this gout of thick combination sludge, guts, the gas. It's not trying to be specific with where it's hitting. It's not trying to be careful. It's just trying to get at you. I need you to roll a Dex plus Athletics, and you're going to suffer a -3 dice penalty to this. You will still have all of your dice from being in Chronos and such, but
Right.
you're suffering a pretty heavy penalty because you are actively engaged with this. You're still partially swarmed on one side from it. It's still a little difficult to move.
Absolutely. I knew I was digging myself into a weird, gassy crud creature.
I want to find its ass and fight it.
He said middle eyeball. I'm punching this round thing in the middle.
I'm getting the rectum. What? I mean rectum. Okay.
Dex, athletics, -3 plus. Sorry, math. You're making it hard on me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. One of them is a messy. It's a 1. I have a 1 and a 10, both on rage die, but I don't think those count together.
Oh, this might hurt you a bit. How many successes do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Donnie, given the position that you're in, knowing that you've pissed this thing off immensely because you're attacking something structurally deep within it, like it's frightened zone, right? Are washed over, completely engulfed by this thick smoke. Your fur singes and melts and burns under this thing. You can feel, even though you have those knuckles encased by brass, that even the brass is peeling away at this immense thick acid as it's just eating rapidly across you. You would have been killed if you were in any form but Krynos virtually, as your body, in compensation, is doing its best fight or flight to heal in the back end. You suffer 4 points of superficial damage and 2 points of ag. Poppy and Evander, you see just this plume of this thick acid and smoke kind of hits the center of the eye and bursts forward and up and out. You aren't in the range of this thing, but you know your buddy definitely was. I'm going to let Evander and Poppy act first now, and then I'll come to you, Brad or Donnie. Just as a reminder, in Werewolf, there is a passive regeneration among your rage check that you can recover. I believe it's up to your rage dice. You just have to roll those rage checks proper. And they will normally heal superficial damage as opposed to aggravated damage, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Evander.
Yeah, I was gonna say Poppy looks at Evander after we rip off the thing, just kind of with a look of like, what do?
I think Evander's first idea, is there like any umbral like trees or structures
No.
nearby?
No,
Nothing.
it
It's
is just
completely open.
It is open grassland. However, before you act, you do hear sounds of something further off in the distance. They're not howls, but they're definitely effort sounds. Evander specifically, and Poppy. Give me, let's do a wits plus awareness or a composure plus awareness in this heated moment.
Ooh.
I will not count brutals against you because it is in the heat of combat, so they'll just be simple. I'll count them successes, but you can't crit on those.
Cool. Shit. 5 regular.
Okay.
Since we're not counting brutals. That's too bad. I got all 2s on my rage dice.
No, I was going to count them as regular success, but they are
Oh.
going to count as brutal success.
Oh, gotcha. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5 success too.
5 success, okay. Further in the distance, we're talking about 100 feet away, but just enough that you can catch glimpses of heavy sparks flying in that distance. There's a different type of cloud of smoke, black, thick, that raises up as though from the destructive force of a massive fire, just raising into the air. Even in this darkness of the Umbra, you can see it where it would normally impossibly be so. And you can feel the earth quake in a different sense, not as from the creature you had been fighting, but the entire umbral landscape kind of buckles underneath it like a quaking of souls, as even though you're fighting this massive creature that before caused stillness before it. There's a spectral wave of white, thousands, hundreds of white small form and umbral creatures are now cascading up towards you and also cascading away horizontally from either side of wherever this conflict further down is happening. With that, your action against the creature you're currently engaged in.
Well, he's gonna look around very quickly to see if there's anything that he can climb up to, get a better view on, and when there's not,
you can climb on one thing. It's literally what you're engaged with. That's the best bet.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he's gonna do. I think he's, now that we have exposed a big chunk of it, he's going to just claw into that section where there is now like a massive gate.
Okay. That's going to be a brawl plus strength, obviously, plus whatever rage dice. Poppy, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna keep playing tug of war because that seems to go well for me. So just gonna keep grabbing more carapace and just be like, no.
I'll give this to you since you two are basically acting in tandem in the same section. I'm gonna give you both +3 success on this roll. Okay.
Ooh.
The carapace itself is starting to. If you've ever seen like gallium on a MacBook and how like once you break the one structure, it starts to just like peel and flake away like it's nothing. That's what you're dealing with. Where all this last structure you broke is now starting to echo and ripple down the rest of this creature. Where what was structural or would have been the most structurally sound in the center is now giving way as all this pressure you've given it is just knocking off. Okay. So the two of you, again, +3 successes on whatever dice you roll.
Okay, so not +3 dice, +3 successes.
Yeah, just flat successes. Because you're acting in tandem, I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
All right. That'll be 1, 2, 3. So it's 4, and then plus your 3.
Okay, so 7 for you, and I need it from Evander.
5.
5 plus the 3, or is that without the 3?
That's with the 3.
So a total of 12, because it was 7 plus that. Okay. Again, I roll like shit. Okay, I only rolled 2 successes, so this is going to be a 10 on the margin.
Damn.
Donnie and Poppy. I'm sorry, not Donnie and Poppy. Poppy and Evander. Can you describe for me, and I'll give you the layout of what you're seeing, how you're going to bore into this much harder plating carapace that Donnie has dealt structural weakness to. You can kind of see as cracks are splintering and spiderwebbing up across it, just like how with a windshield, once you hit that one point, it just kind of type of deal. And you can see that there are like veins along it that are easily more broken and are exposing bits of it, as you can kind of see bits and seepings of that fluid from before just dripping out and kind of like clinging on to as best it can. Go ahead and describe, and I can do this either with you both in unison or a separate, your choice, how you're going to bore into this thing.
I think Poppy is kind of like, okay, I realize where I am in this teamwork situation, so they're just gonna dig their face into the carapace, bite, and just keep like tug of war pulling it open to let Evander do whatever the fuck he's gonna do.
So you're using your teeth to purchase onto the inner bit that's kind of surrounding the center structure and just like pound at it, trying to get like the perfect bit of the spider web and just pull and rend at that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And Evander, how would you like to do that in response to Poppy?
As wherever Poppy's pulling away, Evander is going to be clawing at let's call it the superstructure beneath it. So as she's exposing the area, just immediately like digging into that spot, that newly opened.
So it's like as though Poppy broke the hard candy shell and you're going for the chocolate that's inside, right?
Absolutely.
Gotcha. I love it. Before I resolve that, Donnie, I'm gonna let you have your action right now. Donnie, give me a brief description of what Donnie's looking like.
Yeah, he's not looking so hot.
They give me more detail than that.
Yeah, as he joins the fight, like getting to where they are, he's gonna join them. He sees them opening it up. As he joins the fight, his newfound friends that he doesn't necessarily want to be friends with, notice that one side of his face is almost not there. He's missing an ear. The flesh around his eye socket is all but gone. You can see bits of bone where, like, bone would be close to flesh. Same with his collarbone on his right side. And I mean, it's just rough. There are bubbles and boils where it looks like somebody made it. You can't tell if it was like a burn of some sort or this weird gas, whatever it looks like. It's charred in some spots. It's like greasy and oily, but not from what he just like got goobed by. It's greasy and oily from being in Krenos, him trying to regenerate, and those movements of the flesh just trying to knit and knit and knit makes this like oily, fatty all over the place. There's probably still shit on him burning. Yeah, he's not looking so hot.
So, Donnie, you're pulling your best like kind of Terminator 2, where your skeleton's like kind of being half revealed in this, and imagine a mix of like Two-Face meets like Tetsuo from Akira, right? Where your body is going through its own horrific metamorphosis as it's in survival mode, trying to like fix what's going on, while also still being pelted by the remnants of this acid that's eating away at it. But with that, would you like to try to attempt to regenerate?
Yes. He is going to try to regenerate some. Is that an action? Does that count as my action, or is that a free action?
For the sake of what's going on, I'm going to count as a free action. I don't quite know, okay?
Okay.
And what it is that you will heal 2 superficial damage per successful rage check you do here. I believe that right now you have 4 rage, so I'll let you roll up to your 4 dice. But this will be you spending them, so keep that in mind.
Oh, if I fail, I lose
Yes.
the rage.
Yes.
Okay. All I need is 1 rage to stay in Krenos, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I will risk it for the biscuit. I got 2 successes.
Okay. You will heal 4 superficial damage, okay? As your body rapidly restitches itself, like you start to regrow your ear a little bit, or at least kind of patches itself over. The flesh over your orbital socket that would have probably been death to your eye if it really got in there is also just starting to re-peel back and see itself upon your bone as muscle and other tendon and tissue kind of snap itself back in place, restitching. If you were to really look at this, you would see the weaving of all this go up, like on and on. It's kind of like you're just raging yourself back to health as a Garou would. Now your attack action. What would you like to do?
So they're like pulling on either side of this thing,
So
from my understanding.
Poppy is pulling at the carapace with their whole ass mouth and entire body, where Evander is like punching and digging into as much of this central load as he can. He's pulling out all manner of like gore and sinew and sludge with it with each blow that goes in.
Donnie wants to. Well, hold on. He might not be able to because there's shit on. Can he get on top of this thing, or is this because of all the hands?
He could, but he wouldn't necessarily need to. But it's your choice.
Okay.
Like you know exactly the now like dimensions of this thing you're dealing with.
Yeah.
The lattice structure has been falling away steadily by steadily as it's kind of crumpling onto the ground, almost in a dust-like fashion, and it kind of leaves this perfectly perfectly round shaped orifice almost that definitely like acts as a giant eye socket.
Okay. Well, if he feels like he doesn't really need to get up on top of it, he might instead. He's pretty much wanting to try and tear this thing in half.
Okay.
So he'll grab a hold of the other side of the carapace.
Okay.
And like essentially he's taking one leg and putting it next to where Poppy has her foot or her mouth, and he's just using like body to try and yank it in half.
So you're doing the full rend. Okay, go ahead and roll your brawl plus strength. And don't forget, you get the extra dice bonus for it to your physical for being Krynos, so you get an extra 4 dice.
Roll strength. Are messy crits like that? Do they work like in Vampire, or are messy crits not a thing?
For the
So I have
sake of,
two tens. I have two tens, but one of them is on a rage dice.
no, they wouldn't.
Okay.
From what I see, they had to be on the rage dice.
Yeah, you would need
Okay.
both on the rage dice. So I think
Oh,
it'd be a
both.
regular crit. Yeah.
Okay. That's 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna be using willpower, so I'm trying to, separate them as I do this. Sorry. 4. Okay, I'm gonna use a willpower to roll 3 more. Or not 3 more, but re-roll. Hell yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 successes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we're
With
staying here,
the
buddy.
with the strength and might that you have, as you pull and you brace like your entire foot, and you're just like ripping it away from the central structure, you're able to cause a massive gap in this thing, probably about 15 feet wide, as structure gives way and falls as each of the strong points of it just completely wither away in the grasp of your hand. It is practically falling away like sand and soil. It is that weakened when it is not wholly intact. There aren't like fingers and bits trying to restitch itself. This is more of a stone-like structure that sits in the center, literally again like an orbital socket. It is a whole different mess of trying to regenerate it. And I'm going to narrate this because you effectively dealt all the damage threshold to kill it. Okay. So Evander, Donnie, and Poppy are both creating as big an opening as you're just like practically karate chopping and scissoring your hands into it like it's a bandsaw almost, ripping and tearing at more of this gel-like sequence as the outer jelly gives way to harder organ underneath, and as that harder organ underneath now gives way to what can best be described as brain matter. It is gray in your hands. It's like pudding, but it is definitely its own type of it's got like a racetrack pattern to it, and how it's just kind of laid in there like your brain would be, where it's just got all those folds and ripples into it, and you're just digging further and further into it. There isn't even a scream from this creature. That's how rapid you're going about it. But you can see from the back end to the front end, it like starts to shut down as rapid movements give way to slower and still movements rolling from one side. You can hear the crash as it starts to hit the ground. The hands that were propelling this thing forward are just giving way under weight, just snapping and cracking all over as it goes section by section, hitting the ground with deep thuds, before at the end, all 3 of you covered in immense amounts of gore, sinew, hands, eyes, blood, whatever can be best described as blood, fell hand daddy as it starts to whisper and wither away from the tail end up, its energies from within it just falling away, drifting into the gust and the breeze of the Umbral Sea. You catch your breath. You feel triumph in this moment. All 3 of you will gain 1 rage. Donnie is healing himself through what he can. The rage is still within himself. Donnie, I'm going to passively say that you spend another rage, but because of like this entire adrenaline of it, you will automatically succeed on it. So you'll just be down your 1 rage, so you still have 2. Evander and Poppy, you feel compulsion to look back in that one area from before where you saw that large black plume come from in the distance. I need another wits plus awareness for an alertness from the both of you. On this one, brutal results will count as failures, okay?
2.
Okay.
4.
I wish I could handle like whispering in this type of room, but I can't. Poppy, you can see not clear so much as a sense of like it being daylight, but your heightened senses definitely kick in. You have far less of this horrific creature on you, so maybe that's why. It's not clogging your nostrils, you're not caked in its blood or anything like that. But where that plume of smoke was, you look up. I need a dexterity. No other bonus check to it, just a straight dexterity right now.
Great dex. Oh
Yeah.
boy. 1 success.
On top of the 3 of you, in so fast a motion, it may as well have been ejected from like the atmosphere or from a volcano itself. A massive body crashes on top of the 3 of you. You'll each take 2 superficial from this.
Do not like, but okay.
And, bits of bone and everything else, the lattice structure, or sorry, the hardened structure of that socket cracks and gives way entirely, practically becoming nothing but pure dust and flour on the breeze. There was no bracing outside of your body. And when the smoke is starting to clear from that powder, it just kind of, you give a couple of coughs in whichever form you're in, doesn't matter. Thick, wild red fur is upon all three of you, streaked in white, and now caked in thick and bright crimson. It's practically folded over in its body unnaturally. One limb twisted and practically ripped out of its socket entirely. A knee folded over in the way that normally your knee is supposed to bend backwards, it bends completely forwards and up, and another arm is missing entirely. Donnie, you specifically, looking up, getting hit by this massive creature, probably the most, the way that you're positioned. Look to the collar, and where there should be a head is none, just pulsating blood eking out from arterial spray and reaction. This was Barrow. I need all of you to roll. It's going to be a weird one because it's not technically on the table, but I'm going to need all of you to roll survival plus awareness plus composure. It's not usual to roll 3 stats together, but I'm giving it to you.
I get my -2 because of Hispo, yeah.
I'm not going to give you a minus on this one.
4 successes.
Gotcha. Normally the answer, John, would be yes because of whatever, but because this is a heightened senses type of check, that's why I'm not going to apply any sort of penalty to you. It makes no sense to give a creature in a direwolf form any restricted senses, right?
Right. Oh, I meant Krinos. I'm not in Hispo. She's in Hispo, but whatever.
I'm still going to... For the sake of it, I'll say you'll have shifted down once it wore off, so you can be in whichever form you want to be right now. Okay.
Yeah, he'd be in Hispo then.
Okay.
I also got 4.
How many successes is that, Hunter?
4.
4. So 4, 4, and 2. 4, 4, 4.
All
of you
fours,
got
baby.
4.
Teamwork, baby. Okay, so the audience knows Erik pulled the mic closer.
The 3 of you glimpse out into the Umbral Sea. 2 of you remembering where that plume of dark black rose from, and where this body seemed to be thrown at you. The reflex you had of just looking up had such immense speed to it that, like I said, it was as though it was erupted from the very canyons of the earth itself. And now trying to adjust and shake off the impact, the terror not quite setting in just yet. You look forward, and with a white to red hue approaching you is a humanoid creature, or what could be only described loosely as such, with a long, bony protrusion, heightened 6 feet into the air, swaying back and forth. And from the shoulders of this creature, immense, also sharpened and elevated bone from itself as well. Yet it still maintains 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and in its left hand, with a tuft of red fur, the severed head of Barrow. The 3 of you, I'm going to give you 1 test for this, but it's going to be a willpower test. You can roll any amount of willpower you want to, up to your maximum, to try to maintain your composure. But this is something that is deeper than a standard composure roll would be. That's why it's taking every ounce of your willpower to do so. So before you roll, tell me how much willpower you're rolling, starting with Poppy.
I'm rolling all 5.
You're rolling all 5.
Mom did not raise a bitch.
Hunter, Evander.
So you can only roll the willpower we have left, correct?
Yes.
Like I've spent some.
Up to your maximum.
All right. I'm going to roll 3 then.
Okay. And Donnie. How much are you rolling, Donnie?
Donnie also ain't no bitch, and he's gonna roll all 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I saved 1.
That's a 2 for Donnie.
Yep, 2 for Donnie.
That's a 3 for Poppy.
I got nothing.
No successes whatsoever.
No, I got a 1 on a rage dice.
Okay.
And the rest were 3s. But rage dice don't apply to this. So.
I'm going to do the other 2 first, and I'll do you, Evander. Okay. Poppy and Donnie. If ever there were an urge from deep within your animalistic soul of what fight or flight was, you have a choice, but you really don't. The urge to run is immense, almost all-consuming. The only thing stopping you from quaking in your tracks and being unable to move is the fact that you have some shred of willpower, some control over this moment. You feel your muscles tense. You can feel your shoulders start to turn back to the cairn fire that you saw prior from where you entered the Umbra. Evander, you on the other side freeze. Your legs are locked in place, gazing forward at this thing that should not be. Your eyes darting from the body of Barrow to his severed head like a trophy and back again. What would you like to do, Evander?
Damn. Okay. I want to say run in, but I feel like he would run away.
Okay. We're going to hold that for right now. Poppy and Donnie, will you listen to your senses or will you defy them? Starting with Poppy.
Poppy is of the mind of must tell someone. This is much less of a I am afeared. It is just a, oh, there are big adult things happening and I need to report this information to somebody, so we gotta go.
Gotcha. Donnie, you're muted, by the way. I understand why.
Donnie, all of him wants to run to the cairn fire, is assuming that's the instinct that's going on. There's one thing that would actually hold him back, not these two chuckle fucks. And that's he hasn't seen the rat since before the fight.
Okay.
So Donnie would probably enter like panicked canine looking for like lost puppy mode of like nose to the ground, heckles up, and like sniffing out rat.
Okay, roll 1 willpower for me, okay? You need to hit a 10 on this.
Ugh, what about a 3?
I mean, you drive a hard bargain, but the answer is no.
All right, well, I even gave finger guns. Come on.
The three of you kind of stumble and fall back ever so slightly, as with each step this thing takes towards you, like a predator simply stalking its prey. Step by step, the world slows down to an impossibly still crawl, and each of you feel your sense for survival take over. While each find a different pace at which they run, Poppy, you've already taken off ahead to try to inform someone of what's gone on. Donnie, you kind of do a quick pat down, but you can't find your rat anywhere. Most of your body is charred still in the memory of what that thick, acrid acid was like. You're not sure if your rat friend is alive, but to the same end, you know that you right now are alive. And with a single motion, you grab Evander just out of instinct, out of mutual survival, and you kind of pull and thrust him forward, breaking the spell of fear that was over Evander, and you two sprint in the same direction that Poppy went, back towards the cairn whose flame mirrored against the edge of the moonlight that night. And you run, and you run. The creature does not give fast pursuit at all. You can still hear the heavy footfalls and the scraping now of that impossible bone-like tail going against the spirit had. It takes several moments of a full-on sprint. I'm going to subtract 2 rage from each of you on this, okay? For you, Evander, you shift at the end of this back down to your Hamid or to your Lupus, whichever you would prefer, okay? And when you get to the cairn, the fire of that reflection is no longer its rich and vibrant orange and red and yellow, but a sickly and deathly ill, faded pale green with black and blue intertwined without. The gauntlet, being as thin as it is, doesn't pose a challenge to the three of you to step back across sideways to where home, or your makeshift home, where that great cairn and that great moot was being held. Future Erik here. Just letting you know that we have put together a charity event in Indianapolis during the week of Gen Con called the World Central Smackdown. It's going to be occurring on Wednesday between the hours of 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. with doors opening at 7:30 p.m., featuring musical guests, CML and Sonora, and wrapping up with a between hour and a half to 2 hour showing of a 5e PvP Smackdown event, featuring various personalities within the TTRPG actual play space, including the Hype Goblin, Madaloon, Crown TV, and the Noir Enigma with GM The Goose Girl. Tickets are going to be $15 a piece, with all net proceeds going towards World Central Kitchen. We do have a GoFundMe up at gofundme.com/f/world-central-smackdown-charity-events. Additionally, buttons will be available on site for sale, with again all net proceeds going towards World Central Kitchen. So, if you're looking for something to do before Gen Con officially kicks off, or you just simply want to support a good cause, come on down to the Indie Fringe Theater. Again, Wednesday, doors opening at 7:30 p.m. with show beginning from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Thank you so much, have a great one, and enjoy the episode.